brought this image of an orange in here, and I want to make sure that I rasterize that. And then we're going to duplicate that layer as well. So control and click on the layer and duplicate the layer. So now what I want to do is I want to label this first one front. So it's going to say orange front, and this other one I'm going to name it orange back. So let's work with the front one first. I'm going to use my marquee tool, my elliptical marquee tool. This is the second tool that's underneath the move tool. It's the one that creates circles. If I hold down my shift button, this will allow me to make a perfect circle. So I'm going to start right off here on the top left corner, just a little bit above where the orange is. And I'm going to drag diagonally, and I'm going to try to make a circle. Holding down my shift key is going to make a perfect circle. Now you'll notice that I kind of went down beyond the orange down here. So the reason for that is because I know that I want to make sure that I select as much of the inside of this orange. So that allows me to make a circle big enough to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and place this circle inside that orange and try to grab as much of the inside of that orange peel as I possibly can. So that works out pretty good. And so now what I want to do is I want to select inverse, and I'm going to delete. So that deleted the background, and you may not notice that it did because we also have another layer here, which is the orange back one that we labeled, that also has that same background. So we're going to delete that one too. And as you can see now, both of those layers have that background deleted. Let's deselect Command D on your keyboard. We can deselect all of that. So let's start with the front again. If I select my front layer, my orange front layer, I'm going to go up to my 3D feature here at the top, and I'm going to select 3D extrusion from layer. That's going to create my 3D extrusion. If you don't have this secondary view, you can go up here to the top where it says view, go down to where it says show, and then select secondary view. You probably want to be able to see this ground plane also. So again, if you go to view, you want to go to show, and where it says 3D, all of these 3D things should be checked off: secondary view, ground plane, lights, and selection. So you'll be able to see everything. You don't want to move anything at this point. Just kind of have it set up there because we're going to do this in the most easiest fashion that we can possibly do it. So let's go ahead and select the orange front selection here in our 3D panel. When we select that, we're going to go up to the Properties panel and select the Deforms icon. And we're going to work with the extrusion and make that 0. If you just write the number 0 and hit enter, it should take care of that. Now we're going to move over to the third icon over in the Properties panel where it says Cap. If you look at it, it'll say Cap. Click on that. And we are working with the orange that says front, the orange front here. So we want to make sure that where it says sides, we're going to say front. The strength, we're going to make that 20. And the angle, we're going to turn to 90. So we're going to just write the number 90 in there. And that should give us what we want. If you notice this secondary view, what it's showing you is that it gives you an orange half. Pretty well done. Now the only thing we got to do is change that orange outside so that it looks like an actual orange peel. So we're going to go ahead and select this orange front. You see where it says orange front, and it just says front right after that, orange front, front. That's what we want to select. If we click here, we're going to look in our materials. And if by some reason you don't see this one that is supposed to be sort of an orange texture, if you don't see that one there, you can select this little wheel right here and go to Reset Materials. If it asks you right here, this box shows up, you're going to just go ahead and click Append, and it'll make sure that you have that particular texture. So once we have that orange front inflation selected, we're going to go ahead and select that orange outside, and you'll notice that when we look at this bird's eye view, that it actually made the outside look like that. So now that we have that done, let's go back to our layers and let's go and do the same, or work with now with the orange back part. So again, We have the orange back. You notice this one is a 3D layer that we just worked on, and this one is not quite a 3D layer yet, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Go to the 3D, up on your menu in the very top. We're going to make a new 3D extrusion. You'll notice that on the bird's eye view here, it gives you that 3D extrusion. So we're going to go down to where it says orange back. This is the selection of the actual object that we just created. We're going to go up here to where it says properties and select the second icon. We're going to go to where it says extrusion depth, and we're going to turn that into 0. And then we're going to go to the next icon in the properties panel, the third one over. And once again, we're going to work with inflating one side, but in this case, we're working with the orange back, so we want it to say back over here. So if this is the orange back, we want it to say back right here. So now we're going to go and make sure that the strength is the same as the last one, which is going to be 20, and then we're going to change the angle to 90. And that should give us the other half of our orange perfectly done. So now we got to change the outside. Remember, we were working with the orange back. So now we have to select the orange back. Down here, underneath the orange back 3D element, we're going to select orange back. Now we can go here to our materials panel and again select the orange. Now we have both of our pieces of oranges are both made as 3D objects. So we have the front and we have the back. We have both of these layers correctly made, so we're going to go ahead and merge those layers. So if I hold down the Shift key on my keyboard, I can select the one layer that is not active right now so that I can have both of these layers. And then if I go to my menu in my layers menu here, I'm going to go and select merge layers. That'll turn both of those layers into one. It'll merge both of those layers into one. So we're almost done here. Now what we have to do is go back to our 3D panel, and you'll notice that when we look at our 3D panel, we have actually one layer which represents the orange front and one layer that represents the orange back. So let's go ahead and open those. Let's go with the orange front first, and we're going to open that one up and select the actual 3D element for orange front. And what I want to do is I want to go up here to where it says coordinates. This time in the properties panel, we're going to work with the fourth icon where it says coordinates. And that one says 0. We want all of this to look exactly like what you see right now, where it says 0, 0, 0 right here under this column, 0, 0, 0 right here under this column, and where it says 100%, it should say 100% on all three of those. So that looks very good. Now we're going to go down to the back panel, the back layer, and select that one. We'll notice here that there's a little bit of a difference. When we select that, when we go back up to the coordinates again, this looks a little different. So we want to make sure that all of that says exactly the same. 0 there, 0 there, 0 there. Everything should say 0 here, and everything should say 100 here. And what that does is it gives us a perfect orange, perfectly aligned with two sides to it. If you notice over here in the bird's eye view, we have both of those pieces of orange that are perfect